Hey, what's up? It's Drea. Welcome to episode number 136 of the Savvy Social Podcast. This show is brought to you by Fan Booster by Traject, which is the world's most complete social media management tool. And it's my tool of choice when it comes to scheduling, managing, and especially reporting on social media. Try them out for yourself for free by clicking the link that goes with this video or in the show notes of this podcast episode. Today, I'm talking all about how to launch on social media. And the topic of today's session comes directly from a course and a class, a workshop, if you will, that I'm teaching inside of the Savvy Social School on February 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, this is not a new workshop. I taught this workshop originally, I want to say it was May or June of 2019. So it's been almost 2 years. And a lot has changed in the social media landscape since then. And I've learned a lot as I help more clients go through launching their own products, services, podcasts, videos on social media. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some things you should consider as you're going through your launch. But I do want to invite you to join this workshop. We're going to be working together on this with this workshop in the Savvy Social School. It's available to members only. You'll get a workbook that goes along with this, including our full launch plan, as well as some launch graphics, captions, and swipe files. So you'll be able to take a graphic of a mock-up of, a podcast episode and post that out. We have like Facebook headline swipe files, full caption swipe files. We're really giving you a lot to help you prepare for this launch. So definitely join the school at savvysocialschool.com. The monthly membership at the time of recording this is $57 a month. And if you join just for that workshop alone, you're going to get your value out of that. But you also get all of the other stuff that's available in the school. I won't go on and on. Just go to the sales page and check it out. All right, so let's dive into this episode. And before you start launching, I want you to kind of think about the things you need to prepare before heading into a launch. And I think sometimes we forget about the marketing side of launching. We dive straight into, we've got this product, we share it with the world, right? Or we spend so much time creating the thing that we forget to share the thing. And oftentimes the marketing of your product, your service, your podcast ends up being almost twice as long as the time you put into creating it. So I'll give you an example. If you're trying to launch a new podcast, you maybe spend about 20 hours, 30 hours preparing for the podcast launch. That means you're recording episodes, you're designing the graphics, you're coming up with the concept of the show, you're creating the show art, you're working with a team to maybe edit the show and get a trailer out there. There's a lot of time and energy that goes into creating your thing. But the other thing you have to remember is that on the other side of that, there was even more time that goes into marketing and especially that early day launch. The thing is with launching a product, oftentimes we kind of want it to make a big splash on social media. We want to create buzz. We want people to talk about it. As much as we like talking about our own stuff, it is 10 times more powerful if other people talk about it, because that's kind of the goal, right? So with your launch plan, there are a few things you want to kind of consider as you're going into this. The first is your marketing messages, which I'll talk about in this podcast episode. The second is direct contact. You want to make sure that you have a way for people to interact and engage with you. And then the third is your launch team, which I won't go too much into detail in this podcast, but essentially it's your people who are going to be hyping you up the entire launch. Okay. So the number one problem that I see and challenge that I see when people go into launching is that they're not promoting enough. They think because I talked about this 5 times, everyone has seen it and I don't need to talk about it again. And sometimes people will even think, I don't want to bother other people with this launch. It's a very common thought a lot of us have. I don't want to bother someone else with this. I've said it a couple times already. That should be enough. But keep this in mind. Your posts, your social media posts are mixed in with hundreds to thousands to hundreds of thousands of other posts every single day. And your expectation that someone's going to read your post and remember what you said is very high. I can't even tell you what I ate for breakfast yesterday, if I even ate breakfast yesterday, right? So when we're thinking about our social media, I want you to assume that someone's going to read it and forget it within seconds. Okay, so you're going to have to repeat it multiple times in order to have it stick. And you're probably going to have to share it in multiple ways in order to have it stick. And you're probably going to have to use different analogies and things like that. Now, the other thing I want you to think about when you're sharing this is there are people who are at different stages of the buying journey. And something that I'm going to teach in this workshop are these stages, but I do want to give you some examples. And I'm going to use an example of one of our clients who is a life coach to doctors, so specifically working with physicians. And we have 3 different phases as we're going into launching the new membership program. So the first phase of these doctors is that they don't know they need a life coach. They have no idea why they can't stick with their goals. They know that goals are important, but they don't know why they can't stick with them, and they're just completely unaware. So we call this stage problem unaware and solution unaware. So they don't know how they have a problem and they don't know where to look for solutions. All they know is that they have some goals and they're not reaching them. They don't know why. Okay. So when you're marketing to that group of people, your marketing messages should fit with their stage. If they don't know why they're not having a problem, talking about the value of life coaching is not going to stick to them because they don't understand how life coaching fits with their problem. So you're going to have to describe their problem and describe your solution before you even get to the specifics of life coaching for them, right? Okay, so problem unaware, solution unaware. That's the first kind of phase of buyer. The second phase of buyer is those people who know they have a problem. So they know the reason that they can't stick with their goals is that they're not getting the right support. So they understand that that's a problem, but they don't know the solutions. They don't know what's blocking them from committing. And so maybe they know that their thoughts are the reason why. They know that their habits are the reason why. They know that they need to get more serious about this process, but they're not quite sure how to get to the next step. So for this group of people, it's outlining the options, the possibilities, and really helping them tap into what they already know. They know that there's a problem and how they can solve it. So this group of folks are called problem aware, solution unaware. Okay. So they are aware there's a problem, but they don't know what the solutions are. So you've got to tap into that problem and help them understand what to do next. Typically in this phase as well, this is where a lot of our marketing effort goes, especially in a launch. So hopefully before leading up to a launch, you've been talking a lot to that first group, the problem unaware, solution unaware group, helping them understand that you understand their problems and that you understand the results that they're trying to get. So typically in a launch, we're really focused on this problem aware and solution unaware group. So they know they have a problem. They know they need to commit. They know they need some better habits to get to their goals, but they're not quite sure what the options are. So in this stage, you're helping them understand maybe they need an app, maybe they need a life coach, maybe they need a program. There are solutions out there. So you're helping them become aware of those solutions. Typically, this is a great place for price anchoring as well. If you're selling a $50 membership, that's a different solution than a $1,000 a month private coaching program. It's a different solution from a $10,000 a month retainer personal trainer, right? So helping them understand the different values that the different solutions can have. So first group, problem unaware, solution unaware. Second group, problem aware, solution unaware. Okay. They know there's a problem. They're not sure what their solutions are. Last group in this kind of buyer journey, the phases of this buyer, is problem aware, solution aware. They know there's a problem and they know what the solutions are out there, but they just need to know why your solution is the best solution. Okay. So if, for instance, you're a life coach to doctors and physicians, they know that they need a life coach, but why do they need you? Why do they need your program, your service, your offer? So typically when we're talking about a launch on social media, we're really talking about the problem aware, solution unaware folks. And then if they take it deeper into like an email marketing campaign or even into your direct messages on social media, typically it's that that last group. They know that there's a problem. They know that what you offer could be a solution, and they're looking for reasons to say yes. So give them those reasons. Okay. So when you're planning out your launch, you do want to think about the different phases of buyer and where they are when they're approaching you with their issue, when they land on your Instagram page, when they watch your TikTok video, when they see your tweet. You need to understand who you're speaking to in that context and have a variety of posts speaking to a variety of phases, a variety of buyer phases. All right, I'm going to end this episode talking a little bit about timeline. This is a question we get a lot when we're talking about launching. So we talked about messaging. We talked about kind of preparing for all of this. But one of the lingering questions a lot of people have is, how much time do I need to set aside for my launch? And typically when we're looking at launching a product for our clients in the agency, we're looking at about a 2-month launch period. Okay, that may seem like a lot of time, but we really want to warm people up to the idea of this product, this service, this offer that you're about to put out into the world. So typically we want to talk about the problem, talk about solutions, get people aware of who you are and your brand for about 1 or 2 months before leading into launch. In this time period, you want to make sure that you are speaking to the different levels of buyer decision, and you want to be able to give them an action. Even if that action is join the wait list, you want them to raise their hand in some way and say, yes, I could be interested in potentially participating in this service, this product, listening to this podcast, whatever the case may be. Okay, so always give them that option to say, yes, I'm interested. When the time comes, let me know how I take another step with you. Okay. So typically about 1 to 2 months before your launch, you're preparing for this. The actual launch period itself typically is about 1 to 2 weeks for a lot of people. Again, this varies depending on what you're selling, the price point, the different elements of your launch. Some of my clients do a challenge, some host webinars. So depending on what you have to promote along the way, that could vary. But typically, we're looking at about 1 to 2 week period for launch. Now, I often talk about having your content set up and pre-planning and all of that. When you're in a launch, a lot of your content pieces are promotional content pieces. Okay, if you don't know what I'm talking about with the different pillars of content, I will link to the 5 pillars of content podcast episode along with this one, so you can go back and listen to that, because there are different pillars of content that you want to think about. But when you're in a launch, it's pretty much all promotional. This is like your time to promote, and you haven't said it enough. If you start feeling uncomfortable, you're on the right track, my friend. So keep talking about it. I can't tell you how many times I've posted something a bazillion times, and then I typically have like an Instagram story poll that's like, did you know that this was happening in my business? The amount of people that say no is always surprising. There's always someone who's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I'll use the Savvy Social School as an example. There are a lot of people who are like, oh, I didn't know that you ran a coaching and training membership program. I thought you just had the agency. And I'm like, talk about this all the time. People don't listen. They're concerned with their own world. So don't put it on them to remember all of the details. Keep reminding. So typically, that launch period is about 1 to 2 weeks. You're going to have probably between 10 and 12 posts. And in those posts, you're going to have a variety of content, video, audio, text. You're going to have a variety of messaging, talking to the different stages, whether they know that they have a problem, whether they don't know they have a problem, or whether they know you intimately and they're just looking for an excuse to buy now. Okay. And then you also want to leave about 5 to 10 days after your launch to wrap it up. Okay. So when you're thinking about social media and the posts that you're sharing on your launch, you want to make sure that you've got some time in there to debrief. So those people who did not purchase, what do they do now? What are their next steps? How do you keep them warm? Those people who did purchase, celebrate them. Or those new podcast listeners, celebrate them. Those new coaching clients, celebrate them. If they didn't purchase, talk to them about how they can work with you. If you have a downsell offer, sometimes this is a place to add it. So maybe you didn't purchase my coaching program, but I've got this workbook that you can purchase that's an entry point. Okay. So share your wins and keep going and integrate what you learned in this launch period into your ongoing schedule. As mentioned, I will have the launch kit for those of you who are in the Savvy Social School. Really excited for this upcoming training. It is February 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern if you're listening to this in real time. I really hope to see you there. It'll be an interactive workshop. So the training will probably be about 30, 45 minutes, but I want to leave some time at the end for you to get your questions answered about what you are launching. So I'm really excited to engage with you there in the Savvy Social School. Coming up next week to have Lauren Caselli coming on the podcast. We're talking all about event marketing, which is something that, because of this pandemic, it's been interesting. So we're going to talk about how to navigate this and how you should think about marketing your events on social. That will be next week. I'll see you then. Bye for now.